Where's my pen? Okay. I start off with my base, which I drew. You can use any base you like. So basically, I always love to start off with the face, just to make that nice and solid. Get that out of the way. So, let's see. I'm having a real sort of design thing with fluff lately. I love fluff. Yeah. Cute fluff. As for thought process that goes into it, I usually try to close my eyes and see the design in my head. And before I put anything on paper, I try and mentally note down the dimensions of things. Like, for example, do I want it sleeveless? Do I want the thing 3/4 or whatever? So that way, if I forget what the image actually looked like, often I can remember the details, and then that helps me to bring it back to mind. So this one's just a rough sort of look. Yeah. So basically I like to start off with something very basic and then work from whatever technique I want to move in there. So for example, if you were to look at this guy from the front, he would currently have a very, very flat, very symmetrical look. And if it wasn't for the thing on his arm, his design would be almost completely symmetrical. So that's a little bit boring. But what I can do is, because I seem to be currently using a lot of these little bars and whatnot, which, you know, I could use as a different colour, or maybe even just the same colour. Just something as simple as that, and just suddenly you start to have a different design. And oh, I must give him pockets, because pockets look pretty cool when you got that sort of thing going on. Anyway, and just to match the similar design to the top, and if you want, maybe just make shoes simple. Go and fix up the feet of this design, but anyway. So basically, he's done. And then I could keep him like that, or I could go in closer and just start to clean up his line art. And then after this stage, usually while I'm doing it, some basic colours will come to mind. I usually like picking very neutral colours, because I like saying, oh, okay, that part should be darker than that part, and then it doesn't really matter what colours I put in, so long as it follows that scheme, then it tends to turn out fairly alright. I just do that bit again. Did not turn out neat. Well, that's the thing, when you're sketching, you don't have to be neat. It's just when you want to show off to your friends, and then they're like, what am I looking at? But if you're like my friends, and most of them only look at it for 2 seconds anyway, it won't make that much of a difference. So basically, I've made that into a section that you can put your hands in and be all nice and warm and toasty. If you think I act a little bit silly in these episodes, I'm sorry. I must just be high on lack of sleep. Anyway, I'm going to bed later and later. I woke up this morning and it was 9:45 and I was like, awesome, I'll get up. Next thing you know, I've gotten up and it's about 10 past 10. I was like, 20 minutes did not go by the time I got up. That's a lie. Anyway, hair seems to be my greater weakness because of the fact that hair can be a little bit trickier. I mean, most of the time your brain forms like a standard and then, you know, you just do like the spiky hair or whatever, especially if it's cheery. And this is starting to look a bit like a guy character. With the guy characters, it can be a bit more harder to not only design for them, but to colour them in, do the hair and whatever. Guys are just typically harder because even today, there is still only so much that men can wear before it starts to look like a very feminine or masculine woman. So you got to be careful of that, unless that is your aim, in which case, go for it. Why not a bit more fluff? I mean, he's got fluff on the top collar, so why not? Why not make it a fluffy arm guard? Alright, you can have fluffy insides of his shoes, but anyway, that's not shown. And the thing is, most guys, even in fantasy, don't tend to wear a lot of headgear. So often you'll find that your main focus point tends to be the top and the neckline, because heroes tend to nowadays have very spiky necklines, or they have the fluffiness. Or some, you know, they don't even have any neckline at all, and they might have the V cut or the long, wide neck. So depending on what kind of, sorry, bump the camera. So depending on what kind of neckline you have, it can sort of influence the feel of the character. So if you pick something fluffy, he might be a softer character, whereas if you pick the spiky, he might be the cool, confident character. So try and take care with that section. And normally by the time you do that, that sort of influences the rest of your design anyway, because, well, unless he's wearing just a long... typically, if you have the spiky bits, they're usually more associated with long sleeve t-shirts or jackets. So if you want something with shorter sleeves, it might look okay, but more often than not, you tend to use the other forms of design. Or if you choose something fluffy, most people do not have fluffy t-shirts, so then that influences the fact that it is a jacket. Or if you have a long, wide neck, you want to show that off. So basically it means that you know that you're going to either, if you do choose to have a jacket, it's going to have to be a wide open jacket. And yeah, so see, there's a difference between that and a difference between that. So anyway, let's see, what should we do for his hair? Well, I'm feeling fluffy and soft, so why not? I'll make his hair just slightly curly, like a lamb. I like to put like a little dot sometimes, if it's like, example, if I'm not sure where his head is, I'll just do a little dot and that'll tell me where I'm sort of making my focus point. I might make his head go back just a little bit, so that way I keep in mind not to build out his hair up to here. So yeah, what are you guys doing? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. I mean, I've been doing a lot of stuff lately, so I've been busy, not online much. I go on Divine Art and stuff just to check my messages, but other than that though, I've just been like draw, use holidays as best as what you can while you can. What do you guys like to do on your holidays? Give me some suggestions. I still have some time off. I should use it to the best of my ability. Especially since I've got Smash coming up. I mean, I've luckily done all of the Kingdom Hearts bookmarks that I have to do, and then I've just got the My Little Pony bookmarks and things like that. Actually, at the end of this, I might show you guys some of the stuff that I've been working on, just so that way you don't think that I've been completely lazy. Oh yeah, just building it up, blah blah blah. I don't often do curly hair, so this is actually a first for me. So yeah, basically with hair, pretty easy. Just follow the head shape and whatever. Just if you don't like anything, fix it up later. Unless you're sketching in pen, like what I usually do, in which case, well, let's start again. And take off that part of his ear. Turn that off. Always be sure to turn off some of your lower layers every now and again, because sometimes you'll find that you've like missed a whole bit just because you've been focusing on that so much. So yeah, take care. And just get rid of the top. Okay, so that's his hair and his body done. Sorry about the camera, it's not like as if I got a stand or anything. I don't know how to do that thing on the computer where you like film whatever you have on the screen, so if anyone has any suggestions, until then, we'll just have to put up with this. Oh, and another thing, my webcam sucks. It is like such low quality. Anyway. I hope it looks right about eyeline. So yeah, I was just going for a soft character today. Maybe next time we'll go for like a more badass sort of character, but who knows. Oh, darn it, I keep nudging this thing. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. If you have any suggestions on anything you would like for me to cover, I can see about doing that. When it comes to colouring, I pretty much just use the same sort of brushes, and I've only just recently figured out like how a couple of realistic artists, and they say that they use the normal brush and then I use the normal brush and then it's like it never works. And I've just found out, like, you know, there's this option that you pick when you have the brush options, and then that sort of allows you to not only control the width but also the density at the same time, so it's like, that is awesome. Used it a little bit. I think I need practice. I'm too used to using the other tools in Psy, and I'm sort of falling out of Photoshop anyway. It just takes too long to do anything in the program, whereas with Psy, I load it up in like 2 seconds, it's up, which is like awesome. So yeah, there's my rough design of a little chibi. Get rid of that. And basically, I just colour in. Let's see, what's a lamby sort of colour? I'll make him pinky. Okay. I don't know how to edit videos either. I don't have a video editing program on my computer. I've got Windows Movie Maker, but to the point where I just have to load it up and then it crashes. Like, just starting itself up is too much of an effort for it. My computer's pretty pathetic. I've had it for about 7 years. I'm starting to think I might need a new one, because with all my art on here, which I do at like 300 DPI, it's running out of room. And I don't always like the idea of having everything on an external hard drive, because, well, let's face it, external hard drives are incredibly easy to lose and to break. Whereas a laptop or a computer seems to be a little bit more solid. I got like 3 external hard drives. I can only find one at the moment. Room's a mess. That's what you get from going to uni. I complain a lot. Does anyone notice that? So basically, once you put in the colours, you can tweak them however you want. So I'm just going for anything basic. When I did this guy, I didn't have anything in mind in terms of colour, so I'm just picking anything at the moment. But I see, like what I said about, did I say it before? I hope I did. Anyway, before I might have mentioned that I just like to usually think of them in like black and white, and then usually they turn out alright. So I had in mind that this would turn out darker, this section would be darker, you know, things like that. I wonder what this guy's story is. That's the thing, whenever you start to design a character and you really sort of like the design, you start thinking, I wonder where this guy comes from. I wonder what he's been doing his whole life. This guy might have been a sheep farmer, who knows. Base colours are the boring bits. So sorry if this video is not too entertaining. So anyway, things that you always want to remember when you're designing. Making things asymmetrical. Making sure to attempt to stay away from too many vertical lines. So people's brains like things that are interesting, and I've found that too often your brain can think in a way that is vertical straight lines, keeping close to the character base and things like that. So don't be afraid to spread out. Like, I've been very restrictive here, but you know, there are times when you can just sort of go as loose and as free as you want. Like, for example, like this little character. So I've got her head coming out of the top of her head. The dress is nice and loose. The shoes are drawing away from her leg area here. So basically, yeah, remembering simple things like that, and don't be afraid to constantly look through fashion design and designing sites and things like that. Keep up with the latest trends, you know, that sort of thing. Because always reminding your brain that there is different ways of remembering things and looking at things can really help when you sit down later and go, well, there's nothing really much out there for boys. Or there's nothing out there much in the way of, you know, gothic girls or whatever, because I guarantee you there's going to be a website out there that has hundreds if not thousands of art and costume designs from fashion designers and whatnot, and you go, oh, okay, so that's how I could have used the design and things like that. So yeah, just considering that. Like, I may not look back through my reference list and my reference folders, but I always find it worth it to, if I come across something interesting, just to make a new file on my computer, and then when I'm feeling really bored or really uninspired, I'll just take a look back through them and jog my brain, get it working. So that's him finished. Awesome. Alright, if anyone wants this guy, let me know in the comments. Give me an offer. Alright, thanks.